I found out my girlfriend and my roommate were sleeping together the night I bought her a ring. I didn't scream. I didn't throw the ring. I smiled, made dinner, and decided to burn the lies down in front of everyone who helped build them. She thought she could cheat and gaslight me forever. My revenge wasn't a text, a breakup, or a shout in the street. It was a stage, a screen, and an audience that mattered. Hey. I'm Jake, 25, from Columbus, Ohio. If you've ever been lied to by someone you loved, this story is for you. Hit like, subscribe, and drop a comment if you think trust is earned, never demanded. I used to think love sounded like a coffee maker. Not the fancy hiss of a cafe espresso machine, just the cheap drip in our shared apartment kitchen that hummed like a small, hopeful heartbeat every morning. I'd stumble out in socks, hair a mess, and there she'd be. Sarah, hoodie, no makeup, twirling a spoon while she waited for the coffee to bloom. We'd do our fake French chef voices and taste test toast like it was steak. We were 2 years in, comfortable, close, practically stitched together. My roommate, Evan, moved in the spring we signed the lease on the 2-bedroom. He was a friend of a friend who needed a place, tall and always barefoot, the kind of guy who said bro-like punctuation. I told myself our little home could fit a third heartbeat. Sarah agreed. She liked having someone to debate podcasts with while I worked late shifts. She had a laugh that made people turn around. I watched that laugh bounce off every surface our thrifted couch, the peeling cabinets, the sticking patio door. I thought it was mine. That's the kind of stupidity you only see clearly in hindsight. The first hint was small. A hair tie on Evan's nightstand, the same black elastics Sarah kept around her wrist. I noticed it while handing him a rent envelope. He said it was his sister's from when she visited. I nodded. I wanted the world to be kind and clean. I wanted my faith to be earned. Then it was a smell, her perfume. The one with the green bottle and the jasmine note lingering in the hallway outside his door when she'd just swung by to bring us cookies. I told myself I was being paranoid. I told myself to stop reading fiction. The brain wants patterns where there aren't any. The third hint wasn't gentle. It was a Tuesday, the kind of gray Ohio day that feels like someone dimmed the sky. I was early home from work because a client canceled. I pushed open the door and heard the shower running Evan's bathroom, not mine. Sarah's laugh soft, then swallowed. I froze, keys halfway out of my hand. Noise, suddenly too much. Drip, drain, fan. My own heartbeat hammering like a fist on drywall. I stood there long enough to go numb. The kind of numb that feels like a sedative. My mind, sabotaging me with kindness, said, maybe she just used the bathroom. Maybe Evan's out. Maybe that's not her laugh, idiot. The shower turned off. I did something I'm not proud of. Stepped back onto the porch like I'd just arrived. Jangled the keys loud. Counted to 15. Then came in again, whistling badly. Evan, towel around his waist, looked surprised but not panicked. Yo, man. What's up? Client canceled, I said. He scratched his wet hair. That sucks. The bathroom door clicked behind him. I looked at it. My stomach was eating itself. Later that night, Sarah came over with Thai food and a smile that was almost convincing. I kissed her forehead and smelled Evan's soap. My hands trembled. The Thai food tasted like cardboard. I wanted to scream into a pillow and never stop. I didn't confront her. Not then. I watched. I started keeping track times, messages, tiny clues. I learned to read silence. She'd disappear from our conversation for 20 minutes at a time and come back with an apology and a joke. Evan started going for late runs at the same times Sarah had to call her mom. I told myself to stop. I couldn't stop. One night, while Sarah showered at my place, her phone buzzed on the counter. The screen lit up with a preview. Evan, wishing it was your shower. Every muscle in my body clenched so hard, my jaw popped. I stared at the message, and the world narrowed to a tunnel. I didn't touch the phone. I didn't need to. I'd seen enough. But something inside me, some colder, quieter animal wanted proof that would survive the storm. I learned her passcode months ago by accident, birthday, day month. My thumb hovered. I heard water thrum. I remembered cooking with her, dancing badly in the kitchen, her laughing into my chest. My future had been a house with the paint peeling in pretty ways, kids with her smile, a dog we'd argue about naming. My future now tasted like pennies. The animal inside me tapped in the passcode. Messages. Threads. The first one I opened was Evan's. It didn't take long. They were not subtle. They were cruel in the way secret things are because there's a high in it, a sick intoxication. There were pictures, times, plans. He's at work till 6. Sneak in the back stair. Like how scared you make me. The time stumps lined up with my tracked notes, like teeth on a gear. I scrolled until my eyes burned. I kept going because if I stopped, I'd start screaming. They joked about me, about how I wouldn't notice, about how sweet I was. The word sweet suddenly croaked like a frog in my throat. I locked the phone, set it down exactly where it was, and leaned on the counter so hard my knuckles went white. The water shut off. I threw on a smile that felt like a mask clenched in the wrong place. She came out smelling like my soap, wrapped in my towel, and kissed my cheek. "You okay?" she asked. "Yeah," I said. "Long day." She squeezed my shoulder and talked about a promotion she might get. I nodded. It felt like someone else's head, someone else's hands, someone else's voice saying, "That's amazing." That night, I didn't sleep. The ceiling looked like a map of a place where I'd never belonged. The radiators clicked. The city breathed. I lay there and drilled a single thought into my skull until it stopped hurting. Don't confront. Don't cry. Don't warn them. Let them perform the lie. Let them bring everyone into it. Then pull the curtain. Because the thing about people who love being watched is that they forget who's also watching. The next morning, coffee tasted like dirt. Sarah kissed me and left early for yoga. Evan said he was hitting the gym. I waved from the sink and scraped a burn teg pan with a kind of religious dedication. And that's when I found the video. It was in a shared folder Sarah once asked me to back up on my laptop just in case she didn't realize the sync was still on. A thumbnail, her shirt, his voice. Enough to end a life in 10 seconds. I clicked it. Then I clicked download. Then I dragged it into a folder called receipts. I didn't know it then, but I was about to turn my heartbreak into an event. Maya picked up on the second ring. You never call this early. What's wrong? I didn't know where to put my voice, so I set it down carefully. I need gear, I said. And I need you to promise not to try to stop me. Silence hummed on the line. Jake, what did she do? Just please. She exhaled. I've got a 4K projector from a work event. And a portable screen. But, Jake, talk to me. Not yet, I said. If I start talking, I'm going to start bleeding. For the next few days, life turned into theater rehearsal. I was learning lines the things I'd say without saying anything outright. I was blocking the stage where people would stand and their eyes would go. I was scoring the soundtrack with the click of a mouse. The hush just before the lights go down, with the human part, the messy animal part, suffering. Ate badly, but not at all. Sleeplessness stretched my days like chewing gum too thin and useless. I'd sit in the shower until the hot water ran cold, then stay there. Cold felt honest. Work felt like a costume that didn't fit anymore. Sarah's texts pretended nothing had changed. Dinner Friday. I miss you. I can't stop thinking about your laugh. The audacity made my teeth ache. Some nights she cried on my shoulder about stress, and I held her while imagining my hands pushing her away. I didn't, because I had a plan to sharpen Dot. Evan grew careful around me. Over-careful. He over-explained tiny things. Going to the store. Need anything? He was trying out innocence in the mirror and bringing me the rehearsal takes. I watched him the way a hawk watches a field. The close calls kept me wired. One afternoon, Sarah grabbed her phone off my counter faster than usual, smiling too big. Work thing, she said, thumbs flying. I nodded. My brain was a filing cabinet and every drawer was open. Papers everywhere. Another night, Evan walked into the living room and froze when he saw me working on my laptop. What you're doing? He asked, like the words were pebbles in his mouth. Editing something, I said. He laughed in that fake light way. Cool. Cool. My plan crystallized when Sarah's mom texted me an invitation I wasn't supposed to see yet. A surprise birthday dinner for Sarah. A slightly fancy, slightly sentimental night with family and friends at a rented hall above an Italian restaurant. Slideshow, toasts, memory lane. Can you help set up the projector, Jake? You're so good with tech. I looked at the message. I looked at my folder named Receipts. I felt my heartbeat slow. A metronome clicking toward clarity. Yes, I could help with the projector. Maya came over that weekend with the gear. I chose a different laptop, The spare one that wasn't on any shared accounts. One that I wiped clean and loaded with exactly what I wanted. I built the show. It started sweet photos from our vacations, clips of Sarah and me baking, friends laughing, music that made you sway. Then, step by step, the tone changed. Less color, colder light. Screenshots that looked like art at first, shapes and colors, then words resolving into betrayals. Timestamps glowing. Faces in a mirror. Chats. The video. The audio clip she didn't know existed because my phone recorded in my pocket once while I stood outside the bathroom door, gasping like a fish. I rehearsed the timing until I could breathe with it. I wrote a short intro that wasn't a speech so much as a fuse. Maya watched once and covered her mouth. "Jake, are you sure?" "No," I said honestly. "But I want my pain to make sense. And I don't want to be the only one in the dark anymore." She put a hand on my shoulder. "Then do it clean. No screaming. No slurs. No revenge porn. Protect yourself. Show what they did, not who you are without them." I nodded. "I'm not going to be cruel. I'm going to be clear. We practiced the setup. Screen, sound, cables labeled. Backup USB. Backup of the backup. Copies of the files in the cloud sent to my own email, to Maya's, on a hard drive in my jacket pocket. Redundancy wasn't just technical. It was psychological armor. The night before the dinner, Sarah came over with brownies. She curled into me, warm and familiar, and said, "I can't wait for tomorrow. My mom's going extra. You'll be there early, right?" "I'll be there," I said, and my mouth didn't shake when I said it at 2 a.m. I signed a new lease on a studio across town month to month, clean and quiet. First month paid, keys in my pocket. I scheduled movers for the afternoon after the dinner. I called the landlord of our current place and, with the calm of a man reading a weather report, told him I'd be breaking my part of the lease and he should expect to discuss Evan's solo status. He grumbled but understood. Jobs move people around. I didn't give him the real reason. Not yet. I wrote a letter for Sarah and taped it closed, tucked it under my pillow like a talisman. It wasn't venom. It was a clean goodbye. It said the things I'd want to hear if I were capable of hearing them. It also said, in very precise language, that the joint purchases we made TV couch were mine and the receipts were attached. Clarity is a kindness that can feel like cruelty. I messaged a half-dozen friends we shared and told them a very vague truth. Show up on time to the dinner. Please keep your phones on silent. Don't record when the screen goes dark. Trust me. Most said okay. One called me and said, "Are you about to explode the group?" I said, "I'm about to open a window." "Dude," he said, voice low. "Do it." The morning of, I shaved carefully and wore the shirt Sarah liked, the blue one that made my eyes look like a lake. I wanted her to look back on this night and remember that I showed up beautiful and calm. I wanted to deny them the satisfaction of imagining me broken. On my way out, I passed Evan in the kitchen. He was barefoot, coffee mug in hand, face shaved a little closer than usual, He nodded, a tiny flicker in his eyes. A darting thing. Guilt looks like a bird trapped in a room. See you tonight? He asked. Absolutely, I said, and meant it. I arrived early with Maya, 30 minutes before anyone else. The hall smelled like basil and floor polish, white tablecloths, gold chairs, the kind of Felligan's small celebrations rent by the hour. We set up the screen on the far wall, plugged in the projector, tested the audio. The first notes of the sentimental soundtrack curled around the empty room like ribbon. The venue manager peered in and nodded. Looks good, he said. Sarah's mom's group chat was buzzing, perking updates. Oh my God, can't wait. She's going to cry. I replied the way the designated tech guy replies, thumbs up, cue it. Guests trickled in. Coats on chairs, hugs, kiss kiss. Evan arrived with a bottle of wine and a sheepish grin, scanning the room. Our eyes met, and he flinched before mastering it into a smile. Bro, he said, clapping my shoulder, maybe harder than normal. Tonight's gonna be awesome. It is, I said. And the steadiness in my voice startled even me. Then Sarah came in with her mom and sister. Cheeks lit from the cold and the attention. Wearing a simple black dress that made her look like the first night I took her dancing. She saw me, and her face softened into home. She whispered, "You," like a thanks to the universe. That hurt in ways I don't have words for. I hugged her. She smelled like the jasmine perfume and something nervous beneath it. People took seats. The noise of a small party filled the room. Glasses clicking, shoes scuffing, laughter spiking, and then fading. I stood by the laptop on a side table dressed as a DJ booth. Maya stood near the light switch. Ready? She mouthed. I looked around the room at the people I knew by name and by how they hold their forks. Sarah's dad with the careful hands. Her best friend Lily, sharp eyes and sharper jokes. Evan, slicked hair and phone face down. Our friends a tangle of history, game nights, couch naps, late pizza. All of them had unknowingly been cast in a play without a script. I took the mic for the briefest moment. Thanks, everyone. Sarah's mom asked me to put together a little memory reel. Just moments. Because we don't always realize we're building a life until we look back and see the scaffolding. My voice didn't crack. So thanks for being part of hers. Lights. Maya dimmed them. The projector hummed alive. The first minutes were smooth and sweet. Beaches, candles on cakes, grainy phone videos of us singing in the car. The room softened. Sarah's mom dabbed her eyes. Sarah squeezed my hand. Evan leaned back, relieved, smirking at his own reflection in the wine glass. Then the tone imperceptibly shifted. The music thinned to piano. The colors cooled. The photos lingered a beat longer on an empty hallway. A door. A mirror selfie that, in hindsight, included a shadow in a place shadows don't belong. Conversations softened to quiet confusion. The screen filled with a text thread screenshot cropped artistically so names weren't yet visible. The first bubble, he's leaving at 5:45. A time stamp. The audience murmured, a ripple crossing the room. Another screenshot. This time with the names visible for half a second, just enough for the literate eye. Evan, Sarah. Then another overlaid like a collage. Your shower, your hands. Can't stop thinking about last time. The music tightened like a throat. Jake. Sarah said, too quiet for the mic, too loud for me not to hear. Her hand left mine, fingers cooling in the air. I switched to the next beat before denial could grow legs. A screen recording played messages scrolling not as stills, but as living proof, time stomps tumbling. The casual cruelty of two people amused by their own selfishness. No nudity, no obscenity on the screen. Just the pattern. The echo of every lie. Evan stood, then sat, then stood again, like his body had misread the cues. This is, he started. I raised a hand without looking at him. A conductor dismissing a wrong note. The video clipped 10 seconds. Blacked edges, faces barely there played with the audio cut. Just the muffled cadence of something that should never have been shared. I let it be nothing more than what it was. Proof. The room was church quiet. One chair creaked. Somewhere, a kitchen timer in the restaurant downstairs rang and felt obscene in its normalcy. Sarah's mom gasped. Her dad's jaw set. Lily's eyes darted between Sarah and Evan like she'd been handed a live wire. Someone whispered, "Oh my God," and someone else said, "Colder." I knew it. I paused the reel on a black slide with simple white text. When people say they love you, believe their actions more than their words. No names on that slide. No direct accusation. Just a truth hung like a frame. I took the mic again. My voice was steady the way a bridge is steady. You trust it because someone designed it well. I didn't want to ruin a party, I said. But the party was already ruined, just not for everyone. I'm not here to humiliate anyone. I'm here to stop being the only person in the dark. My eyes found Sarah. I loved you. I still love the idea of you I had. I can't make that version real. She stood, trembling. Jake, please, this is out of context. You? I shook my head gently. Context is what people use when they've run out of truth. Evan found his courage and tried to twist it into anger. Dude, you can't just... This is illegal, man. Revenge. No, I said. No revenge porn. No private details that break laws. Just messages you sent each other. Time-stamped plans. And the reality I was living in without consent. I looked at him and felt nothing but a clinical curiosity about what he'd look like when the persona fell off. You both did this in the house we shared. The least you can do is witness it with me. Sarah's mom started crying. Not movie tears, but the ugly kind. The kind that shake your whole face. Sarah reached for her, and her mom flinched. That flinch landed like a slap. The projector fanward. The room breathed shallow. I clicked the final slide. I won't be living with liars. Tonight is goodbye. The rest is between you and who you choose to be. I closed the laptop. The lights came up. For a moment, the world didn't know which way was gravity. People looked at me like I'd pulled a tablecloth and left the dishes standing. Then noise came back in a rush, voices layered. A deck of cards thrown in the air. Sarah moved toward me, hands out, tears filling, cheeks blotching. "We can talk, Jake. Please behind the let's. Go outside." "Not tonight," I said. "There's a letter with what you need to know. It's not an argument. It's a list." Evan started for me like a linebacker. Then thought better of it because 3 of our friends stepped between us without needing choreography. He laughed again, this time broken glass. "You're a psycho." He said it like saying it would make it true. "No," I said softly. "I'm a mirror." Cold air hit me like relief. The alley behind the restaurant smelled like garlic and cigarette smoke. I stood under a string of winter lights that hummed and flickered, and I breathed until the blood in my ears quieted. Maya followed me out, right with worry and something like pride. "You did it clean," she said. "I did it," I said. And my voice had all the ages I've ever been inside. It's the kid who wanted a steady family. The teenager who believed grand gestures were love. The adult who learned that love is what you do when nobody's watching. Inside, chaos flowed past the windows. People moved like punctuation, sharp stops, and long runs. Sarah's mom's face crumpled into her sister's shoulder. Evan gestured, frantic, then small. Sarah stood in the middle of the room, looking like someone had turned on a light she didn't want to see by. I didn't wait to watch. I wasn't there for spectacle. I was there to end something. I got in my car, drove to the studio, and met the movers at the door. They were 2 guys with 4 arms like oaks and voices that turned boring paperwork into music. "Break up, move," one asked, not unkind. "Close your move," I said. We boxed my books. My childhood baseball glove, the Polaroid of my first apartment. We took the TV and the couch and the standing lamp I loved. We left the bed because it felt like a grave to take it. I stripped the sheets instead and bagged them for donation. I left the letter on the kitchen table addressed to Sarah. And beneath it, the folder of receipts, and beneath that, the key I wasn't going to need anymore. I texted the landlord. My room is empty. Keys on the table. Consider this my 30-day notice paid through the end of the month as discussed. I was careful. Clarity means fewer wounds later by dusk. My studio was a low-lit hum of boxes and potential. The window faced west. The sky did that Ohio thing where it stains itself purple, then gives up. I sat on the floor, back against a wall, and let the quiet touch me. The stillness didn't feel like loneliness. It felt like safety. My phone lit up every few seconds like a siren. "Sarah, please answer. Please, we can fix this. I'm sorry. He meant nothing. He meant something, but not enough. The truth tried on outfits." I didn't reply. Evan tried a different tack. "You're gonna pay for this?" Then 5 minutes later, or even now. Then later still. "Hey, you didn't have to do it like that." The entitlement was so pure it almost made me laugh. I blocked him. Friends texted in shock, anger, relief. "Lily, I want to apologize to you. I had a feeling. I didn't want to be right." Another friend. He was always weird around her. Sorry, man. Maya. A heart, a location share. If you need me. I slept hard and dreamless on a borrowed air mattress. In the morning, the light in the studio made me cry just a little, quietly. The way you do when you realize you survived a storm by building a roof in the rain. Fallout came like weather. You don't control it. You just dress for it. Sarah's family reached out through careful channels. Her mom called me first, voice rough. I don't know what to say, she said. You don't have to say anything, I said. I loved your daughter. I hope she chooses better next. Long pause. I don't know who she is right now, her mom said. And the grief in that sentence is something I wouldn't wish on anyone. Within our friend group, lines were drawn not by me, but by gravity. People slide toward what's solid when the floor tilts. A few sided with them, citing privacy and no one's business, and people make mistakes. Most didn't. Most understood that the mistake wasn't just the cheating. It was the months of lying, the use of our shared home as a stage for their thrill. At work, I became very efficient. Heartbreak can do that, strip you down to function. I made lists and checked boxes. I ate vegetables like a person who had a plan to see old age. I found a therapist because I didn't want my next relationship to be haunted by a projector. I heard about Sarah through the grapevine because gossip is the tax you pay for community. She lost the promotion temporarily because she'd been distracted, they said. She moved in with a friend for a while because going back to the apartment without me felt like sleeping in a crime scene. Evan found another place after the landlord gave him 30 days to sign a solo lease or vacate. He chose vacate. I didn't dance on those facts. They were theirs to navigate. I had my own maps to redraw. A week later, Sarah asked to meet for coffee. Public place, daylight, boundaries. I chose a cafe with huge windows and even bigger plants. The hum of mid-morning muffled everything. She came in small. Her hair was in a bun, her face makeup free, the version of her I used to trust most. She sat with her hands around the cup like it was a lifeline. For a minute, neither of us spoke because there's a limit to language when the person across from you has become both familiar and foreign. I'm sorry, she said. I know, I said. I believed she was sorry in the way people are sorry when the world tells them to be. I didn't know if she was sorry in the way that changes things. I hate you for what you did, she added. Then flinched at herself. I mean, I hate that you did it like that. In front of my family. You humiliated me. You humiliated yourself, I said gently. I just stopped helping you hide it. Her eyes flashed. You made me a villain. You wrote the script, I said. I just rolled the credits. She breathed out sharp. So that's it. Years gone because I messed up. Because you chose to keep messing up, I said, and my voice stayed warm because I meant it. I can forgive a mistake. I can't live with a pattern. She looked at the plants. At the window, caught me. I thought you wouldn't notice, she said, and the honesty of that almost knocked me back. I noticed, I said. I noticed everything. I noticed you shrinking when you should have grown. I noticed me bending into shapes that hurt to accommodate lies. I noticed that you were happiest when you were most hidden. I want a partner who's happiest in daylight. She nodded, eyes bright. I don't know who I am, she whispered. You will, I said. Just don't be this person again. Not to me. Not to anyone. We sat for a while longer in the kind of silence that's not empty. She left. I didn't watch her go because that felt like a small mercy to myself. Evan never apologized. He posted something on Instagram about haters and loyalty, and someone sent it to me with a laughing emoji. I blocked him there too. When people show you their elevators to the basement, stop pressing the button. Weeks turned into steadier weeks. The studio filled with furniture that had no memory of betrayal. I put up a cheap shelf and an expensive plant and learned to cook for one with actual care. The coffee maker in my kitchen hummed, and the sound wasn't a heartbeat anymore. It was a metronome, slow, steady. Mine, the last thread to tie off, was the ring. I'd bought it 2 days before I discovered the text message, nothing huge. Nothing cinematic, just a simple band with a small stone like a held breath. I thought about returning it, but the jeweler's policy and my pride didn't match. So I did something else. I took it to a metalsmith friend of Maya's and had it melted down into a smooth band. No stone, no implied promise. I wear it on my right hand now, a reminder that love is a choice you make for yourself first, or you'll have nothing left to give anybody else. People have asked me if I regret how I did it. If I wish I had just confronted her in private, spared the spectacle. I tell them spectacle wasn't the point. Clarity was. The audience was incidental. They were already in the story. I brought them to the credits because secrets rot in the dark. And I was tired of living in a pantry. If you're listening because you've been where I was, staring at a phone shaking, unable to breathe, hear this, you don't have to disappear to survive someone else's choices. You can speak calmly, show the truth, walk away. That is not cruelty. That is dignity. And if you're listening because you've been who they were, perfume in the wrong hallway, laugh behind the wrong door, hear this. It's never too late to choose the daylight. It's never too early either. I used to believe that revenge meant wreckage. That to get even, you had to salt the earth and watch nothing grow. But standing in my studio, plants thriving, coffee humming, the ring warm on my right hand, I know my revenge was never about destruction. It was about a clean edge. It was choosing to be seen in a room where the truth had to look itself in the face. Sarah will build a new life. Maybe she already has. It's not my business anymore. Evan will keep saying bro like punctuation, and one day someone will pause him long enough to hear the emptiness. That's not my business either. My business is the person in the mirror who didn't scream, who didn't hit, who didn't smash. He curated, he edited, he placed one slide after another until a story told itself, and then he walked away. He left the violence where it belonged, the choices that broke what was whole. He refused to add any more. The night I took the projector down, I drove it back to Maya's, and we stood on her porch in the breath cloud cold. She hugged me with both arms and both eyes open. You did it clean, she said again. I did it honest, I said. Those 2 words are the bones of everything I plan to build from here. If this hits you anywhere tender, you're not alone. I'm Jake, 25, Columbus, Ohio, and I learned the hard way that the truth is the best revenge. Drop a comment with your story. Subscribe for more real narratives like this. And share this with someone who needs a reminder to choose daylight.